Calling all around the world. Mumbo jumbo, stir up the gumbo. Calling all around the world. Get it. Start with a roux, that's me and you. Add the Holy Trinity. That's rhythm, chords, and melody. Come on now, add your spice. Tell your story, very nice. Calling all around the world. Stir that vocal gumbo now. Calling all stir it up, stir it up. Get it. Stir it up, stir it up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hi, girl. How you doing?
Hey, girl.
So I hear you had a vegan Thanksgiving, except for the turkey.
I mean, I basically did a gluten-free, dairy-free Thanksgiving. I did make turkey for myself because I'll be darned if I was going to miss that.
Don't explain.
But, you know, I made like just a big old honkin' turkey breast on the bone, and I marinated it in yogurt and turmeric and spices and garlic and onions, and I marinated it overnight. So I will say that bird, it was juicy. It came out really nice.
Swinging bird.
It was a swinging bird, yeah. And I really have to say I was not disappointed with the flavor profiles. Just, substituting left and right, but kind of still leading with my same feeling about like leading with soul and color and herbs and other good fats that we can have. And it didn't feel like we had, we lost anything. So it was really fun. It was a good exercise for me. So, and here we are today. I can't wait to dig back into my refrigerator.
There are a few things as satisfying as Thanksgiving leftovers.
What about welcoming our Vocal Gumbo happy hour people to the day and saying, we sure hope that you had a wonderful gathering of some kind, whether it was small or extra small.
Extra small, yes.
It was pretty modest, the gatherings for us, just the three of us over here. And you didn't do turkey yesterday, did you?
No, we didn't do turkey because there were only three of us. So my son has become enamored with the sous vide apparatus. So we did the sous vide with duck breast and aromatics. So we had orange peel and orange juice and thyme and garlic in the bag with the duck breast. And I made a sweet potato souffle with also with yogurt.
Yum.
And lime juice and some honey and spices and stuff. So
you and my sister Kate, you went with the duck, and she had to she had to do a duck pate too right to start off the party. So
what a show off!
I know.
What are you drinking?
Well, I'm just gonna drink what I had opened last night. After a while, it's just a nice little organic Malbec. And I'm going to pour it because it needs to be, it's time.
It's time to air it out.
What are you having, my darling?
Well, I'm enamored with this Tomcat gin. Oops. Jeez, everything's backwards.
When I see you next, can I please have a drink of that with you?
Oh, please. Won't that be great? I'm going to break down crying.
I know. Cheers, my darling, and cheers to all of you out there.
To all of you. Welcome to Vocal Gumbo Happy Hour. We'd like to thank, as always, even more now, gratitude to our essential workers. Hi, Aya. We love you. Aya's in Tokyo. We want to give a get well shout out to our dear friend, Judy Niemak, who is recovering beautifully from a little episode over Thanksgiving. So we send love to you, Judy.
Big time, Judy. We love you. And all the voices are sending you love. Darman and Kim and Peter, they are sending love big time. Healing hugs. Yes.
So we just had an incredible conversation with Sheila Jordan.
Yes.
Which we,
funny.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, funny thing happened on the way to Vocal Gumbo. Just Sheila Jordan was scheduled to be on live with us. She is so popular. She is, she's booked, double booked, triple booked. I mean, remember those days when you'd have like jingle sessions and you'd run and you'd be like, oh, I got to go here. I'm triple booked today. Well, I don't.
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
Let's pretend like that happened to us and just be like, yeah, back in the day. But,
I think you're thinking of Patty Austin.
We're thinking of Patty Austin and yes, kings and queens of the jingle era. Yeah. Anyway, Sheila is just in high demand, as well she should be. And so we taped a little interview with her, wishing her happy birthday. And there are some wonderful, as always, wonderful stories that she regales with us on, Parker and living in the city and running to clubs and taking it all in. And
her first vocal group, that was very interesting, in Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna air that.
Yeah, we are. We are hoping to have a YouTube link maybe by the end of this happy hour, but we have so many incredible guests. This is our Meet the Artists happy hour, so we're going to feature a few of our wonderful friends that are going to be on episode 9 of Vocal Gumbo, which airs tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So get your tickets now at www.momenthouse.com/vocalgumbo.
Or Janice, they could become, part of our Patreon family. What about that?
That's a good idea.
I don't know. I'm just thinking ahead here of ways in which, if you like what it is Janice and I and Lori Green have been doing for the past 7 or 8 months, please join our little village and help us continue to make this show happen and hire our pals and collaborate with people all across the planet and join some of the inside conversations that happen where you can actually sit at the round table with us and go, I'd like to suggest an artist, or I have an idea. We're really excited about involving you. So join Patreon.
If you like, get your Renaissance on, become a patron of the arts, and you could get these fabulous perks like this antique, beautifully detailed pot holder.
Yeah. And I used my my Vocal Gumbo apron all day yesterday while I was in the kitchen.
Awesome. Did you get it dirty?
Totally, because more often than not, everything I own is wrecked because I won't, I'm in the kitchen and it splatters. And of course, I just kind of can't be bothered with actually really getting.
Cooking is messy. It's supposed to be
messy. Yes. So we've got aprons and, actually, Janice, when we had our little coffee clatch, there's some coffee mugs in the pipeline for in the future. So we're having a lot of fun with our Tag Your It partner who's got all kinds of ideas for merchandise to just make you all feel so excited about stocking stuffers and just more clutter for your house.
And what about this beautiful antique wine stopper? What a stocking stuffer. Or for your Hanukkah bush.
Right? Hang that right up there on the bush and just have it handy at all times.
It stops up all kinds of stuff. Liquids.
It's happy hour.
It's woo! All right. What do you say we bring on our first guest, who is a queen from the West Coast?
I've known this young woman since she was a college student. And I remember going and hearing her final recital at Manhattan School of Music because she was a student of Peter Eldridge. And I remember following her. I remember when she was signed. I remember when she joined the same management company that we were in. And I really feel like I got to witness her star take off. And rightly so. She is not only just a warm and delightful human being, but she does have the most luscious instrument.
She totally does. And if we're reminiscing, I remember hearing about Jane from my dear departed friend and producer, Joel Dorn, who raved about her and made me sit and listen to her.
Yeah.
Some of her early work that he was doing with her. And
absolutely.
I was blown away. So.
And, and speaking of late mentors, Marianne Topper, who was our manager and was a manager of many, many people, from Diane Krall to, Ron Carter to Christian McBride. She, of course, worked with Jane, and she also, Marianne passed away in recent year. And she was also one of our great women that were, just thinking about cultivating artists and launching them. And anyway, so we're remembering Marianne on this because the holidays were her favorite time of year. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, so we want to welcome Jane Monheit to the program because we are so excited to have her in our show.
Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh.
Now you're a Long Island girl, right?
I am originally. Yeah, I am.
But
now,
I'm
in Los Angeles now.
But now you are where?
I'm in Los Angeles now, and I hear people say, like, you're not a real New Yorker until you get to LA, but I don't know. I think I was already a real New Yorker when I was at home, but I love it here. I do. I love it here.
Now, how long have you been there?
A little over 4 years now.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute, and there's a nice scene out here. The musicians are wonderful. Everybody's so nice. It's just it's been really a good time. It's been
not like New York.
No, I mean, not like New York. You know what I mean? Like, I was worried that it wouldn't be as good of a vibe. You know what I mean? I was worried, and but it is. There's just as great of a hang out here, and that's really nice.
It's great, and you've got a little one at home.
Yeah, he's getting so big now. We're starting to call him man-sized boy around the house. He's like as tall as me now. He's 12.
Oh my God! So what is he doing for school?
Well, he's doing distance learning, which is challenging because my husband and I are basically relearning 7th grade. Well, more my husband. My husband is incredible. The man has learned algebra. I mean, he's the father of the year. It's insane. But so we're distance learning at home all day. And PE is funny. PE is the gym teacher will get on there for 5 minutes and be like, all right, kids, I want you to run 3 miles today and have your parents take a picture so I know you did it. And it's like, what kid is going to actually run 3 miles? I don't know. Not mine.
None.
Mine never does. But so that's interesting. But it's working well. He goes to a wonderful school, and yeah. So yeah,
that's so great. And it was so fun. I mean, I asked you personally, I was like, please send me a picture of Jack because because on top of all of that, I mean, I feel like I've known you so long that, my daughter, and I remember when Jack was just a baby and running around backstage. I feel like, when we raise each other's families and witness that, and we also know how much it takes to maintain your career, but also really honor parenthood.
Yep, absolutely. The best we can. It's hard. That's why I did it on the road for so many years. Because my husband plays drums with me. We homeschooled our son till he was 8.5, until it got to be too difficult. At that point, it was more of like he was like, Mom, I'm not doing school today. And we were like, all right, you need to answer to another adult who isn't us. Like, we need like teachers and principals and things around, So it was a little more of that than, but we loved it. It was great having all that extra time together,
Yeah. And seeing the world with your children, right?
Well, I think it's important because then your kids know what you do and who you're with. And when you have to leave them at home, they know you're coming back and they know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to have your kids with you for a fair amount of time.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then in addition to that, like all the guys I worked with in my band for a million years, Michael Caine and Neil Miner, you guys know these guys. They're the greatest uncles you could ever ask for. You know what I mean? So, he had the influence around him of all of these amazing adults. It's like extended family of musicians.
That's great. It's really great.
It makes our kids into really cool humans.
I mean, Janice, Gabe was the same way. He traveled with you. He feels akin to, a part of that whole world. And I think that, again, that makes them feel like they're not just like, oh, mom's gone, but like I'm a part of it. Yeah.
Well, when he was 3 or 4 months old, I had a Japan tour and I thought, I'm not leaving him at home.
Yeah.
I can't leave him at home. I'm breastfeeding him. So he's been with me on the road since he's 4 months old.
Aww.
Till he went into school like 5, 6, and I don't regret 1 second of it, because it gave him an understanding of the world, in that he saw that there were different people speaking different languages with different cultures, different food. And it gave him an interest in history, which he then parlayed into a law degree, So I think it really set a nice stage for him to do what he wanted with his life, and gave him an understanding that there are differences in this world, and they're not scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And big ones too. Like, I remember taking my son on a big long tour of Asia when he was little, and we did the big jazz festival in Jakarta. We did the big
Java Jazz,
and he saw poverty in Indonesia like he'd never seen in the United States. Like, he saw little kids his age like begging in the street, and had to learn to understand that kind of thing when he was small, and came home with a different perspective, and
yes,
and I'm glad he had those experiences. I wish more American kids did,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have been, interesting for switching to, like, here we are living this pandemic lifestyle now. Everybody's home. You're grounded. Everybody's grounded. We have no place to go, nowhere to be in particular. And you decided you were going to make a record, or was it already in the pipeline and you were just like, it's kind of done and we're going to finish it? Or how did that all happen?
No, it was, I had already been talking to the label that I'm with now, Club 44, before the pandemic started. And then once it happened, it was just sort of like, oh goodness, how are we going to get this done? And then I remembered I live in Los Angeles, where everybody has the greatest home studios in the universe.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Including, one of my closest friends in the entire universe. Great drummer, Jamie Tate, with A Million People, David Benoit.
Oh, I know Jamie. Yeah.
He worked with you. In fact, I think he worked with you at Jazz once, which is funny.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, he's one of my closest friends. And so I recorded in his home studio. He engineered the album, and I was able to fly Michael Kanan in from New York, which was like the greatest thing. When I tell you, I cried my eyes out to just see that man in person. I mean, he's so important to me, So he came out, and then, Ricky played drums, and my West Coast bass player, David Robert, played bass, and we made it happen. And we're not done yet. We're still going to overdub some guitar and some percussion, but and I think a little bit of strings. But yeah, it'll be out, I think, in March.
So tell us about the project. Is there a concept or a title, or?
I don't have a title yet, because that always comes last for me, but I ended up basically choosing a lot of the tunes that I'm kind of finally old enough to sing. I mean, like I turned 43 this month, and I've been kind of doing this since I was really young. And when I was very, very young, I wasn't careful enough about what I was singing, because I just didn't know better. I Got It Bad on my first record. I mean, come on, people. It's just silly when you think about it. But, so there are a lot of tunes that I waited a long time for. And so I just kind of picked some of those. And then a few things that are certainly influenced by the life we're all living now,
Right.
So it's kind of a mix of that. It's kind of a bit of a maturity record.
I really love those kinds of records where you were sort of, I mean, you have to forgive yourself all of your youth, and perhaps, the things that we did maybe inappropriate or appropriate, because the wonderful thing about what we're all doing anyways, like, you just have to jump in and you just have to go for it. And sometimes, the wonderful youthful arrogance is such an animal. You can't beat that down.
It's staggering.
It's just arrogant, But so what? I mean, because the world is intoxicated by it too. We'll be quick to say, well, that was inappropriate. She did it. But it's at the same time, you probably sang your ass off, right? So it's so interesting. But perspective now and your stories that you have to tell now with a life so well lived richly, it's like these are the years that it starts to get, the red wine deepens and all the flavors just get deeper and richer. And it's I'm excited about this record. I'm excited about all your records, but it's really fun to have an artist continue to get to reveal themselves.
Absolutely. So Lauren, can you name an example of a tune that you recorded in your youth that you wish you didn't, or didn't feel you were getting it in retrospect?
Well, I mean, I always loved the tune Mean to Me. I was always like, that's a great tune or whatever. And like, you start to really learn, like, you're like, yeah, it's a great tune, but you just don't really learn about like, what's the story behind the tune and what are we really talking about, as opposed to like, you're mean to me. I like this tune. This sounds good. As opposed to like, this is not a great story. Maybe I need to have some perspective about like why do you want to sing that song? So yeah, I think that's the first one that comes to mind in terms of like, I probably would not choose that now, or ever. But a lot of people do it. Well, you did it. Probably you did it. I mean, we all do it. So,
well, I just think it's against the arrogance of youth, or listening to somebody who just wants to hear you do the song, for instance. Yeah. I think it's. So yeah, I think we've all done it.
Yeah,
yeah. But Jane, you've got a holiday show coming up on the 5th of December.
I do. I've been doing Zoom shows. They've been so much fun. Oh, there's my graphic. You guys are awesome. Thanks. I have a wonderful pianist out here to work with, Max Hamer. And we've been doing these Zoom duo shows, and they've been so much fun.
He's amazing. Where did you find him?
Los Angeles, baby. He's he's actually he's one of my husband's dear friends, and that's how I met him. They were working together quite a bit with another LA singer who's a great young jazz singer named Jessie Palter. She's incredible. And I had more need to know, but met him through her, and we've been working together quite a bit, and he's just amazing. And he, we share a lot of similarities in what we love a lot of jazz, love a lot of musical theater too. So we tend to cross those wires a lot, and he's a sweetie pie. I love him.
It was interesting because we're doing a collaboration with you, which was so much fun. I can't even stand it. And the thing is, like,
do that with you guys at all? I'm like freaking out still.
Oh my God. But the thing that's so funny about it is, of course, Peter Eldridge was one of your mentors in your life. And this tune that I selected was actually something he just, gave me a pile of sheet music. I don't know if it was like 10 or 15 years ago. These are all fun tunes. I like these tunes. And I always love when Peter hands me a pile of music. And I dug up that tune. And I was so happy. It's called Fun Life, and so we've definitely taken a ride, and so everybody gets to enjoy that. But the other tune that you presented, as I was listening to it, I was really struck by, have you ever done and thought of doing any musical theater? Like have you ever thought maybe I'd like to actually take a year or a year and go do a show and just stretch out in another way? Because I was listening to you sing that song. I don't want to give it away, so I'm not going to give it away. But I was listening to you from like, wow, I wonder if she's thought about that, because she might want to think about that.
I definitely asked myself that question as well, because it's a stunning performance.
Thank you. I mean, there's no higher compliment in the world than one from you guys. I can't process that, but I love musical theater, and I did a lot growing up. Growing up, it was the whole learning experience was that and jazz at the same time. So I did everything, and then in my 20s and 30s, I definitely got close to Broadway a few times. Close, like
okay,
both got parts a bunch of times, and then it was always like, dodging a bullet because shows closed early or never opened, and like I would have canceled tour. Like it always worked out better in the end, but it's definitely like a dream. Like I'll have like my moment someday, and you know.
Yeah, well, when Broadway reopens, I think you could definitely explore that.
It's such a dream, but
I wanted to ask you, how do you get how do you get through the latency issues on Zoom doing a concert?
well, Max lives down the street from me, so we both get tested like the day before or a couple days before, get our results the next day, and then we do the concert like distanced, and like because he's got a big enough piano that I can stay kind of pretty far away from him, and then that's it, and we just like do it and make it work. And I mean, we're basically like being as careful as we possibly can because it's paying our rent. It is, you know what I mean? It's really,
I hear you.
Yeah, like the monthly show that we're doing is really taking care of us right now. And I freely tell people that because I hope people know how much their support really matters to artists right now. It really does.
Yes, thank you for saying that. I
Well,
mean,
it's why we do the Vocal Gumbo is we do it to throw a little bit of money to our instrumentalists and to a charity, and we try to pay ourselves as producers. We're not really taking much of a paycheck as of yet, but we'd like to. And I think people have, it is one of those things where we're all trying to figure out new ways to make a living while we're all grounded. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But every last Zoom ticket we sell for anything, like they all make really direct impacts on us and everything we're doing. And it's really cool for people to know that, you know what I mean? It's not going through some pipeline of like venue and promoter and manager and agent and all of that. It's like people are really helping us directly. And that's really cool, you know?
That's really great. Well, people should tune in. And how do they find that? Well, we saw that poster already, but maybe you could tell them again how they get to you on December 5th.
If you go to my Instagram page, there's a link to the tickets there, or if you go to jazzvox.com, you can get tickets there. But yeah, I'll be posting about it whole lot more too, so I'll make it really available to everybody.
Beautiful. And then if you want to hear Jane and us do a collaboration and also hear this beautiful solo song, you should tune in Saturday and Sunday. 8 p.m. is Vocal Gumbo episode 9. And we have an amazing array of incredible vocal talent, including Jane, Rhiannon, Peter Eldridge, Pura Fay, who is a Native American singer. We've got Claudia Acuńa, Paul Jost, Maddie Pizzarelli, Reggie Bowens. Lauren and I are both doing solo pieces as well. So
and Impact's in there.
And Impact. They're so tiny. I didn't even see them.
Yeah.
But it's their 25th anniversary, and we have a celebration of that, of a project that they put together. So please join us. Take a minute and buy a ticket at momenthouse.com/Vocal Gumbo.
Yes, and you'll be happy you did so. 2 showings. So Jane, we're so happy that you joined us, and you're more than welcome to stick around, or you can toddle on your way. We're going to invite another one of the guests, because what we really like about this Meet the Artist is sometimes we miss actually getting to talk to everybody in the show in the series, but this allows us to just kind of hear what are you cooking for in pandemic, or how is life changing, and talking about our children and feeling like we can sort of have people see the interior of our lives and not just the exterior. So we're so happy that you joined us. And please send our best to your lovely husband, Ricky, and of course, your son, Jack. And we can't wait to show you off on Saturday and Sunday.
Absolutely.
We're going to show you off, girl.
Yep.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. I really am thrilled.
Always a pleasure to hear you and see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sweetie. So we're going to have Paul Jost join us now. And, we've had Paul, he's been on our Vocal Mania. When we, remember those days when we had clubs and gigs and all that stuff?
Oh my God. I know. And I used to stop at Mamoon's Falafel to get food for the band.
Oh my God, Mamoon.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry I mentioned that.
I
Oh my
know. Oh God.
That-
And Mamoon's worked at any hour, 3 a.m., 3 p.m.,
Especially at 3 a.m.
3 a.m. for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And Paul, he really is quite a vocal powerhouse, and we became hip to him through what's been Vocal Mania was such an excuse to seek out the singers that we didn't know of yet, and learn ourselves, and then share them with our audience. And so now we'd like to bring them onto Vocal Gumbo. And so, Paul, are you out there? You want to pop on in and join? Oh, there he is.
Hey guys.
Hey, handsome. How you doing?
Doing good. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I might have a little head start on you, but
Yeah. Well, Jane said it's a little too early for her to be drinking. I feel bad because Janis and I are sometimes, with Sheila, we were like, okay, we're opening our drinks. And she's like, well, I actually, right after this, I'm going to my AA meeting. So we're like, okay, we're just, and then Jane says, well, it's a little early for me to be drinking too. So I guess Janis and I we'll just carry the lush factor.
Why don't we just sing Lush Life and get it over with?
there you go.
Paul, have you ever met Jane Monheit over there?
No, I haven't, but I'm a real fan. And you just mentioned Lush Life, and Jane was saying about, you asked her what song she might not have wanted to sing when she was younger or something. And mine would be Lush Life. I was like, early teenager, and it was such a hip tune, especially then. It was like, wow, what is this? How's that go? Yeah. And I wanted so much to own it, but I couldn't quite yet. There was some pathos. There were some things in my life that I could still draw on, but they weren't as broad as they would become,
I hear you loud and clear. Mine was Guess Who I Saw Today.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you were 12 or something, right?
And also, I Don't Want Him, You Can Have Him.
Oh.
They were both mistakes.
I love that. I sang Lush Life early on too. I mean, like 17 or 18, that was in my book. And it was the title of my senior recital, my first recital at Berkeley when I was there. It was like Lush Life. But the thing that's interesting about that piece is remembering too, though, that Billy Strayhorn, he was young when he wrote that. So when we talk about, is it appropriate or not appropriate for our youth to sing into adult text and adult scenarios? Some of our youth are, were dancing and experienced into that text and could write from it, that point of view. And so it's always that fine line, but I still think Lush Life is like one of those arias in the jazz lexicon where you could sing that forever and it will still continue to reveal some new information.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Forever.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wouldn't say there was maybe a wrong time to do something, but certainly the things that bring fabric to your life, your experiences just become broader and broader, and there's just more that you can draw from. But yeah, I can't think of the writer's name that wrote The Diviners. Really great story, but similar thing, a very deep story about religion and community. And I think he was about 17 when he wrote that. And it's so deep. It's like, how could you possibly, how could you write? Well, I think Billy Strayhorn was like 17 or something too.
Yes.
When I wrote Lush
Yes,
Life, right?
he was. Yeah.
Right.
But some people are old souls.
Yeah.
I know, but like things like Distant Gay Traces, like where'd you get that?
Yeah, right.
Where'd you get
That's
that? 17?
right.
What books are you reading at 17 years old? That's the first time I heard that word,
I
James
know.
James Baldwin? I don't know.
I know.
Right.
True. There was some great thinkers back then and still today, but he was running in some James Baldwin. I can read those books and just get lost in that voice and mind. But Paul, you've been very productive too in the pandemic. You've been sort of pivoting and kind of going, I'm gonna I'm going to keep writing. I'm going to keep working. And you work with some of my favorite musicians, both Tim Horner and Dean.
My God.
I mean,
you know,
Jim
Riddle.
Yeah, they're really good friends of all of ours from the New York scene. And so tell us a little bit about how you've been keeping yourself sane and productive.
Well, I actually got a little dark for a minute. I mean, in the beginning, when the pandemic hit, I think a lot of us are a little bit insulated because so much of our lives is solitary in terms of our, practicing, shedding, all that stuff, So it did, it didn't really hit that much. But then after a little bit, it started to become like, so what is my purpose? I can't find my purpose now. Is it just to be about self-actualization, that I just keep learning and growing just for myself? I mean, when do I get to bring this to the table and share it with other people, that we make music together? Because it's not about just regurgitating stuff that you learn. It's about bouncing stuff and learning from each other, all that. And if that doesn't exist, I was having a hard time understanding what does it matter? What does it matter what time I wake up, what I eat, what I do, if I shower, if I don't? I guess life is over. I just thought, like, in this quarter of my life, and as I focused much more on singing, and as things were evolving, I was really looking more towards not just Europe, but things were starting to really blossom in a really positive way. And my goal was to travel, meet my audience, my expanding audience. And, as you got older, you do a couple less gigs, it's so that you're living. I never want to retire. How could you retire from what you love?
Right.
But all of a sudden it felt like the rug was pulled out, and like I'd been retired, and I'm not ready. I don't want to retire. What do you mean there's no gigs? So it got a little bit messy for a little bit, but then I begged the muse forgiveness, and I smacked myself back to reality. And I got to tell you, I feel more like a teenager than I ever have in my life. I'm arranging and writing like, I'm so
awesome.
jacked, and I'm so filled with enthusiasm and hope for the future. When I don't want to get political because that can exhaust us all, but that moment, like, like when Obama became president, like the whole planet seemed like, oh my God, in my lifetime did this? Oh my God, we've grown so much. Oh, this is fantastic. And then once Biden won, like people dancing all over the world, like it was just so joyful. I know everybody felt like this huge weight,
Absolutely.
And I don't care if it's just exhausting. It's just been 4 years of exhaustion, and it's still
complete mental and emotional exhaustion. And it's not over, unfortunately.
I know.
But there is that. I mean, you can breathe a little bit now.
Yeah. It just feels there's hope. There's the sun is still shining. So it's.
But getting back to your talking about the pandemic and how it affected us. I mean, for me, our identities my identity is caught up in being a touring musician and going out there and being a road dog and a road warrior and traveling and doing the shows and fighting the jet lag and meeting the people. And so part of your identity is chipped away. And then also I had a structure to my life, that disintegrated suddenly. And like you say, what does it matter what time I get up? What does it matter if I shower or not? If I put makeup on, if I, but so for me, putting a structure together really helped a schedule together in spite of the world falling apart.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, to tie this in a little bit, and if I get off the track, stop me. But, I've come more to singing in this quarter of my life because I feel like I have a little bit more. I can bring some different stuff to it, because I've played for so many singers. My have a whole life as an instrumentalist, all that stuff.
Tell us some of the singers though that you played
Please,
with.
Like Billy Eckstein.
As a drummer though, you were a drummer.
Yeah. Well, I still am. I just don't play at the frequency that I do or at the level that I do. But Billy Eckstein was a gem. Bobby Tucker was one of my dearest souls. I love them so much, and like on breaks and stuff, we would do 2 shows a night. This was at the Golden Nugget, and we would go to the employees' cafeteria, and B always rolled his own cigarettes, which always caused a little bit of like, what's he doing? What's going on over there? He rolled his cigarettes, and he and Bobby would tell us all these stories, and then we'd have Sarah Vaughan. She would come in like 3 or 4 times a year, and oh my God, it was like this great party. Our musical director was Frankie Randall, who was a musician. He's probably, I think, the first actual musician in an entertainment, entertainment person, or whatever that word is.
Impresario?
Well, in the hotel that was hiring, it was usually marketing people. Like they had an idea of marketing, but they didn't really understand about the music. And once Frankie came on board, I mean, the pianos were tuned, the sound systems were great. The people that were coming in, it really opened up. So yeah, that was and Frank Derone. I don't know if you know Frank from Chicago, but just a lovely, lovely singer. I learned so many tunes from him. Bobby Scott, who I loved. Like we really kind of adopted each other. And I've always prided myself on knowing a pretty good chunk of tunes. And when I played with Bobby, I think I knew like 1 or 2 tunes out of a set. It's like, what's that? Who did that one? Just incredible,
Do you find that now that you're mostly singing as opposed to sitting at the drum kit, when you go back to the drum kit, do you feel like the singer informs the drummer and the drummer informs the singer, or how do those two people talk to each other, and what's changed for you perhaps?
Yeah, that's a good question. As a drummer, I mean, I love all these styles. So I always felt very good at like pocket stuff, but I could also play like, had good swing and, John DiMartino, who I know, we played a lot together. So I love all the stuff, but my approach, I hope, has always been compositional. That I don't want to just play like stuff that I practice and stuff. I really prided myself on listening and being part of the music. So I thought that if I were laying out could be as much of a good decision as anything I would play. That I had the sensitivity to know. It doesn't need me right now. It doesn't need me noodling around till I find something. It just needs, and that's true in anything. As we sing, what choices did we make as we arrange? I know many times I'd be looking for some harmony on something on horns, and I'd be, kind of spend a lot of excessive amount of time on it, and finally be like, what? The music is just screaming that it doesn't want any harmony here. It just wants some octaves or unison. It wants a line. It doesn't want that stuff. Why are you fighting? it? So it's like, I think So in that terms, like playing or singing, they all seem kind of relative. Though I used to sing and play, I don't say a lot, but like, different acts that would come in. I've done like, take 6 harmonies behind people singing, while I was playing. And so it felt kind of natural. But now that I've become maybe more of a singer, it's a little harder for me to divorce the two, because I get so invested in the song that I would probably just stop playing, It's just a little bit different.
You're such a storyteller. I mean, how do you pick your material? What speaks to you when you were picking songs for yourself?
Well, I was going to say, when we were talking about Lush Life, I've always gravitated to like 16-ton, Ode to Billy Joe, those Big Bad John, did I mention that? Those story songs that had this kind of theater around a little bit really drew me in. And one of my very favorites was One for My Baby. And, years later, I got to meet Bill Miller, because Sinatra was in all the time at the Nugget. And just that, that was, you could smell the smoke. You could smell the beer on the floor, oh, my baby. I mean, I was way too young to really, I don't even think I was smoking. I was too young, But that story, I would mime it in the mirror at my house, in my bedroom, hoping nobody would sneak in. But I would mime that whole thing because it moved me so much. And when my parents, they passed away not too long ago. And when we sold the house, the very last thing that I did was I went back into my room and I mimed that song one last time.
Oh,
It was just a complete cycle for me. It was just, it was a really touching thing.
Wow.
So I've always loved those kind of story sort of songs. And, every song can be a story. I always, I try to, you got to pick songs that have some meaning to you or that you can project some meaning into. There's some songs you can just sing to sing, but, I ask students sometimes, like, why did you pick this? And a lot of times there's not a really good answer.
That's right. That's right.
I like the tune. Well, that's great, but what are you going to do to? I noticed you have My Funny Valentine on there. Are you going to do something really?
Why?
Cool? Or, it's been done, a lot. Do you have some different slant?
Yeah,
that's one thing I really try to do.
Yeah.
Is if there's, I think I sent you guys. Everybody's talking at me.
Well, I was just going to mention that. That's what I'm thinking of, basically. I mean, everybody knows that tune in a certain context, and you take it and turn it inside out.
Yeah, I love doing that because it brings the lyric in a different way to people that they might not have thought before. Yeah. And I love, like in drumming, I would love if a singer said, "Oh, I love singing with you." That meant everything to me. Or a piano player saying, "Man, I really dig your swing," or I really feel like I can get my shit out when you're playing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But
there's no constraints here at Vocal Gumbo.
I would just much rather that than than another drummer say, "Hey, man, I really like that, paradiddle thing that you did," or, whatever, So yeah. I love those story things. And when people come up and say, "God, I never thought of the lyric that way before," that makes me feel like I'm bringing something different to this thing. So even when one of my albums that I was doing, the record label was saying about, these are all kind of the same titles, like the same, like American Standard, American Songbook, and some are, but it's like, yeah, but check it out. It doesn't sound, I don't know anything that is kind of touching it in that way.
Well, you gave so many wonderful options to Janis and I to feature on Vocal Gumbo, and honestly, we really couldn't decide, and we, everything had value. And everything had a point of view, which is always, again, what I talk about with my students is like, please just have a point of view. Actually lead with some taste, lead with a choice, make a choice. And all of your choices are so grounded in who you are, both as a, your story as a storyteller, but also as a rhythmic person. You're so connected to that whole thing. And so we had fun picking something, but tell everybody where they can hear, because you're getting ready to dole these out. These pieces that you've been recording with Dean and Tim and thank you. And let everybody know how they can find you and get to know what's on deck.
Sure. Well, I'm putting some of these videos together from this place. Been playing at Soapbox Gallery in Brooklyn. It's a wonderful space. It's run by a fantastic sculptor, Jimmy Greenfield. And he's just presenting music now. And I'm sure you guys will connect in some way. He's, how your stuff has grown. Like I checked, like from your first episode, it's like how we all grow and your stuff has become, I love the jingle. It feels so good just to hear that start, it's like, yes, life is good. I'm happy, and everything's, it's really coming together. It's really good. Yeah. Well, the same thing with Janis. Like it started off kind of, maybe 15 minutes late, fixing technical things, blah, blah, blah. Now the videos look really good. Right. They've got a wonderful engineer there. They've got a mixing board. The sound is good. He has a beautiful piano that's in tune, So it's really great. So I'm there once a month. You gave me like a once a month thing there, which I'm so thrilled about. To play with the guys, that we get to play live. Because we've done all the not Zoom, sort of, you play to a click or you play to a drum part, and it sounds good, but it's not like, you're just kind of imagining like, I bet Jim's going to do something great here, and So
did you have an audience?
No, there's only there's Jimmy who's actually running video, David who does sound, and Tracy, who kind of oversees everything. And then we had maybe, Kathy Riddle came in, and one other person. So no, there's no audience there. It's really an empty room, and it's very safe, health-wise.
Can people make donations? So like when they go to Soapbox, I mean, is there a way for them to actually pay you, your band, for your time, or the venue for their energy to produce it? And so I hope people, tell us how to do that.
Yeah, well, when you go to Soapbox, I mean, they have something running every night. It's all kinds of stuff. It's not just jazz. And you can contribute. I think they suggest, I don't know if it's $15 or $20, but people, we don't want to box anybody out. Whatever you can afford. And then we split it with the venue. So it's not like scads of money. And look, I could go in there with just bass and voice, drums and voice, piano and voice, but I go in with the quartet. And it's not like I'm a martyr, but I don't care about making money, because money's important. But it's so important for the quartet to be playing together. It's a family, we have a sound now. We've been playing together for, 4 years. Yeah. So I'd rather, I'd pay to go do it. Shh, don't tell anybody that, but
No, I know, but people should know. People should know, and that's, I love that though. Jane's doing her live shows. And there is something about that. We're trying to do as best we can to replicate something that feels collaborative. It's not the same. It will never be the same. But the one thing that we're all doing is learning how to respond to whatever's happening. And Jane's producing her vocal in her booth. Janis and I are suddenly producing vocals and producing sessions and, editing videos and doing stuff that we never thought we'd be doing. And now we're like, I'll do that. I'm going to do that. I'll learn how to do that. And so it is a really liberating time. And I think we should bring on our final artist, because honestly, the piece that she's going to share in our show is talk about, doing something that we really miss, which is playing in an ensemble, but a super big ensemble. So I think
actually,
right. So I'd like to invite Claudia Acuńa to our round table here.
Hello.
Hi,
Claudia. My goodness, I have been having so much fun listening to this and laughing and going like, oh yeah, like what a great conversation.
So great to see you.
Salute.
Salute.
Claudia, that's Paul and Jane over there. If you've not met them,
I've met Jane. I've met Paul. Thank you so much. It's so sweet to see all of you. This is so nice to hear.
So where are you now?
I'm in my kitchen.
Perfect.
We are too. No. I'm in the part. I just want to tell you, if I even turned the camera at this direction that's happening over there, it's a freaking bomb went off over there. This is Thanksgiving over there and everything, but this is like, oh, here's my books and my things. Liar. I'm in my
like
kitchen.
The journalist who was like with the tie, and then he was butt naked or like wearing underwear, that kind of thing. Everybody fakes it a little bit, A
little bit.
Nothing wrong with that.
No,
Claudia,
I know.
Claudia, we are so excited about this collaboration you did with, are they called the Chilean Symphony, or?
This is actually very special because it's the Universidad, basically like University of Concepcion Symphony Orchestra.
Okay.
And it's the symphony orchestra from my hometown. It's a city called Concepcion in the south of Chile. And maybe 15 years ago, I did something called Violeta Parra Symphonic, which we celebrated Violeta Parra for her 100 years. She's the equivalent of like, I don't know, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell of our Chile, and also she was an amazing artist. And I did that concert at the time with the orchestra, and due to this reinvention that we are trying to do as artists and musicians, I've got this invitation to do this from home. And it's like you said, it was challenge, like I'm learning how to record, how to edit, tuning the piano, looking at what part of my apartment has the best sound and what microphone. and then you even hard on yourself because you tape one, you tape two, and then you like learn about the light and all this stuff that we have, like you said, we have never needed. But I think, and I've been loving to watch all my colleagues, people that I don't even know, and I realize that we all have a purpose, and our purpose and our call is music. And because of that, we'll go to the end of time, hold in hand with this amazing energy and spirit, whatever you want to call it. And it's like those movies, like the Titanic is going down and the last people of the musician playing there, like, where are
We're
we going now,
staying!
baby? You know?
We're staying! We got to play the bridge!
Sure, man. It's the pandemic, and who is there like in their cameras from home, you know, like whatever, you know, doing the best, exploring, completely exposing, and just with this hunger of giving and connecting, you know. And I'm loving more and more every second of this journey as an immigrant, what I have learned coming to this country, the people that I have known, the mentors, the ups and downs, and then to be here for all this historical time that we
Yes.
all gonna be telling politically, socially,
Yeah.
and then this invisible virus that I have called it in many talks or interviews. I've come to this my own interpretation of this, if I may.
Please
I
go
feel
ahead.
like it's you know, like either we like it, we all have only one mother, you know, like it or not, and we all collectively have only one mother, which is called La Pachamama, Mother Earth. And we've been bad children. And she said, you know what? You all gonna go time out.
Totally. Yeah.
And have ground us, I think, all of us, and make us reinvent and get direct with the audience, be more resilient, be creative, and
Yeah.
also all
That's
the
how-
emotions, you
That's
know?
how we get back on mom's good side, I think.
Yeah. And I think we connect with that. And I think Mama Earth is grateful for the energy that us as musicians, we give in and sharing, you know? Because
Yeah.
people really appreciate, and the world needs music.
Yeah. And we just have so much healing to do. I do think the pandemic is our moment to address so many of the other issues that go sort of, they come up to the surface and then everybody gets busy and scattered and don't follow through. Perhaps the Black Lives Matter movement wouldn't have found quite the groundswell and the stick-to-itiveness that it really needed to now really move that dial so profoundly in the right direction.
Right.
And women's issues,
Yes.
you know, immigration issues, health
Yes.
issues, you know, earth issues. And I do think it is a time that we're all learning. And I don't think we'll ever be the same coming out of this. I think we will be forever changed.
Like we said in Chile, because if you've noticed, it's been like, it's like the world woke up. We all woke up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. And, you know, like a friend of mine said, hey, the French Revolution was not done drinking coffee and eating croissants. So let's get out and do this, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, you know, she had a point. You know.
I see
Yeah.
everybody shaking their heads. Yes, Paul and Jane and Janice, in terms of like the spiritual, just the whole zhuzhi spiritual thing that just swooped into the room with Claudia, you know, and just, you know, we've all been doing so many things, but then yes, you really just center us around like just this really heady, important time that we're in right now. And thank you for that centering.
Yes, thank you for the reminder that there are some things that have come out of this pandemic that are positive and good and helpful and have caused us to awaken.
Right. And like Paul said early, I think for a lot of us artists, the staying home, it's been probably the least difficult, because as creators and loners in a way, we need that space.
Yeah.
But the part that have hit us hard is the touring, the connection, playing with the guys. Like I've played at the Soap Up Gallery, as Paul said, and it was been the place that I first did something, because I can walk from my house or take my bike, you know, and I feel like I endured so much the people that are taking chances to keep artists in some type of, you know, I don't know what's the word, but, you know, like connection and that type of level. And like Paul said, is a new venue, is in Brooklyn, but the dedication, the acoustic. And before Paul said it, I hope somehow maybe between Paul and me, we can be a bridge for you guys, because I think you would love the venue and the energy there. And it's here in New York, you know?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I still love you, Jane. I know you moved to LA, but I still love you. Just want you to know that.
I'm not going to hold it against you.
I know I'm a traitor. I know I'm a
No,
traitor.
you're not. You're not. Don't
But
do
I still
that.
come home to
Don't
New
do
York
that.
a lot.
Everybody has to do their time in LA.
Well, you know, and honestly, it was really the right choice for my kid. It was really a lot of it was like that, you know, and so, but yeah.
Everything is, you're taking the music somewhere, you're happy, and when you sing, people are happy, and everybody leave with a smile on their face. Hey, LA is lucky to have you.
I was going to say that.
That's so sweet of you to say. I feel lucky to be here. I love the musicians here. I mean, there's just one kind soul after another, man. People are nice here. It's good. It's a happy scene to be a part of. It is. Yeah.
It's funny. I grew up on the West Coast for the most part, in Arizona and Oregon. And so when I moved to the East Coast, and you know, we're accustomed to, like, if you walk any place, from like the grocery store, people will go, "Oh, hi, how are you today?" You know, and there were times, you know, when New York, when, you know, you would be at the checkout stand, and they will not maybe have spoken to you at all at any point of the exchange, even giving them the credit card or whatever. And it's just a different mindset and mentality. But I remember going back to the West Coast, and like someone saying, "Oh, hi, how are you? How's your day?" And I kind of looked at him like, what do you want? Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm like, I'm so unprepared now to go, "Oh, you mean you're sincerely asking me how I am?" Oh, okay. So but there is a, you know, a sweetness and different cultural things that we do. And it's not to say one's bad or not, but it's just that they're different. And I do remember that feeling about, like, no, you know, this sort of ease of spirit where we're a little more guarded here on the East Coast, perhaps.
It took me a while to loosen up when I got here. And now, but when I get back to New York, I snap right back in, though.
Gotta have your swagger.
I get off the plane and I'm like, all right, nobody mess with me.
Well, New Yorkers are gruff, and they're impatient.
And they're lovable, though.
But
once you scratch the surface, you'll find a heart of gold.
Yeah, like New Yorkers are there for each other. You know what I mean? New Yorkers support each other and, like, will take care of, like, I don't know, like, if I had something bad happen out on the street in LA or in New York, I think in New York people would come help me. Here people would be like, ew. You know?
Ew.
I would be like that for my nails or something if I helped.
We just got word from Vocal Gumbo headquarters that Sheila Jordan's interview is up on YouTube. We're gonna post that link in a minute. We had a wonderful conversation with her to sort of kick off this happy hour, which has been delightful, I must say.
Now, Claudia, before we push on, though, I just want to thank you for submitting these pieces, because I do think, again, it goes back to the storytelling about what we've been trying to do in responding to how do we stay connected with one another? How do we still make music? How do we still, you know, pivot in when the world feels like it's changed every dynamic and road pathway that we know. And so I love that you created this project, and we had so many pieces to choose from. It just was like, so so you learned how to do it and recorded at home. But what are some of the other things that you're doing, and maybe you'd like to share with everybody, in terms of like, the soapbox, or what's another project coming down the road for you?
In July, I did my first live streaming from the musical theater opera house, which I learned is the oldest opera house of this country. And I kind of did a residency. Sorry. And the thing that it was unique about this is that I had a live audience, a Zoom live audience.
Oh, wow.
So we interact, and it was an experiment, all with social distance. Even the cameras were managed by a drone is how you say it?
A drone.
Right, thank
Yeah.
you. And we learned a lot, and I did it as a benefit for an organization. And the second one, I was going to do one in December, but with all the COVID and everything, I wanted to hold on for it because we needed to travel anyway to Massachusetts. And hopefully I'll be doing one again in March to celebrate Women's Month.
Beautiful.
And in the meantime, I'm writing a lot. I'm taking care of my kid, as you know, I'm a mom too. And
how old is your son?
He's 9.
Oh.
So, and he's doing remote learning, and he goes visit his dad and all that stuff. But like all the parents in the world, I'm learning again 4th grade, and on top of it from another country. So I feel completely lost in translation. I'm begging for help all the time.
No.
And then I'm probably going to do soapbox, maybe smalls, and I'm going to start doing the little things from home as the weather gets cold, but just to keep that connection,
Yes.
And like all of you said, we make a living out of this. Every time there is a benefit, people always call musicians. And I love that all of us, we're doing this to motivate and help each other, because musicians, we also have to pay the electricity bill.
Yeah.
So we appreciate when people support. And like Paul said, if you can donate $5, but I was thinking one day, if we have an audience for a show of, we all travel around the world, if we get an audience of 7,000 people and all of those people donate $1.
There's your pay.
$1.
There's your pay. Yeah.
You know what I
that's
mean?
it. I know.
$1.
Some
So
people
I think this is just amazing, and I have a lot of hope that through this we all learning, and I think is a new world.
Yeah.
It's a new world, and I'm excited and nervous at the same time. And
yeah.
But hey, let's jump.
I know. Absolutely. And I know it is interesting. We're all, I mean, whether you have a 9-year-old or 12-year-old or 19-year-old or 24-year-old, they're all home with us. And you're, it's an interesting time to be figuring out what parenting looks like at all those stages when traditionally, my daughter would be off in college right now. And instead she's in the other room.
Right.
She's in the other room, and she's not having also the experience she was hoping to be having, but there are also really gorgeous things that happen in other ways. And Janis is cooking with her son, and they're and so we're pivoting in those ways too. And I see so much positivity that comes.
And learning how to be present. I think I've done my studies and life itself, the punches, the beauty of it. And I feel like this also been bringing us to something to be present.
Yes.
To be just absolutely present. Like right now, I'm right here, and in all those moments with my kids, like the silliness, and the resilience of kids, and the beauty of the choice that we can make as humans to be kind and resilient and resourceful is the word.
Resourceful, yes.
Resourceful. Thank you.
No.
And I'm very grateful because this music for me has been a journey, and it's been so. It has welcomed many of us that have come from other countries, and I didn't even speak the language, and I fell in love with this music who gave me this freedom. And I think it's just a wonderful possibility to continue growing together more close, face to face, because of this challenge.
Beautiful. But I also love that your performance on Vocal Gumbo tomorrow night is going to be a connection with your country, with your roots, with your culture.
Yes.
And that's beautiful. And we'll learn about Violetta Parra.
Yes. I'm so grateful that you invite me to this. I've always loved you. I've shared with you how a fan I was when I was from Chile, and to have laugh. And the other day, Facebook reminded me of Vocal, Mania and the Zinc Band. And there was some sweet pictures of us, like just having fun. And I'm so grateful that also I'm going to have the chance to showcase a little more where I come from and where everything started.
Well, that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow night at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, and Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Janis and I do the show twice. Why? Because once is not enough. for us, we are gluttons on so many levels. And meet the artists tonight. We're meeting 3 of them: Jane Monheit, Claudia Acuńa, and Paul Jost. And I think everybody's gonna fall in love with them mutually and exclusively, and individually. I mean, it's just, we've got such a parade of talent to share with you. So we hope you get your tickets at momenthouse.com/Vocal Gumbo. We're going to be donating 10% of our proceeds to Gilda's house, right, Janis?
Yeah, Gilda's Club.
Gilda's Club. Oh, wow, sweet.
We every month we do something, and this we were talking about cancer awareness on our last happy hour with Cheryl Benteen and Mario Cantone, and so we're gonna donate 10% to all of our earnings, and then Janis, why don't you tell everybody who else is going to be coming?
Well, not only are these 3 incredible artists going to be on, woo! But we're also going to have Impact, who is an incredible vocal group that is celebrating their 25th anniversary as a group. And one of the incarnations, one of the founding members, is my Manhattan transfer partner, Trist Curlis. Reggie Bowens, an amazing singer and educator and pianist and vegan baker.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Reggie Bowens. Rhiannon, this to me is the most incredible collaboration. We have Rhiannon, who is an amazing improviser, who living on the Big Island of Hawaii, along with Pura Fay, who is a Native American singer and frame drum player in Saskatoon, singing with her 3 nieces.
Oh.
We have Lawrence Hobgood on piano and Frank Colon from Rio de Janeiro.
Talk about gumbo.
That's a gumbo. And Lauren and I. We also have Peter Eldridge. That name sounds familiar.
I think I might know him.
He's a good little singer. Yeah.
I hear he's good.
He's all right. He's all right. Maddie Pizzarelli. Pizzarelli is our young artist. And Lauren is doing a collaboration with Addison Fry.
And Ella's singing on it. I'm getting
your daughter. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yep. So we're finishing the finishing touches tonight. So I got to get her to do the high stuff.
Oh, please get her to do the high stuff. And also I do a little solo piece with the wonderful Rini Rosny.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a show, and every time we do one, we're like, "This is our best one." No, this is our best one. So we fall in love with everybody, every show. We hope you'll all tune in. We're so ever so grateful you spent your Friday afternoon and evening with us, and we hope everybody runs to go pour through their listening libraries to brush up on all of these amazing artists and get ready. And we toast you, and we toast you. And we say, stay safe and stay healthy out there. For crying out loud, wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. Yes.
Not that hard. And we can't wait to show you off tomorrow night. So get your outfits on, even though we're not going anywhere.
It's okay.
I'm going to put on my wig.
I'm gonna put on some stilettos. No,
All right. Okay. I think I'm going to produce myself then.
All right.
my stilettos.
I don't think I can walk in them anymore. I really don't.
I'm going to produce myself. Look.
I know. For real, I will never get in a pair of pumps ever again in my life. No, I know that's probably true. We adore you all. So
Thank you for being here, really. And thanks to our friends at Audio Technica.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you. This has been such a treat, such an honor to be here. And nice meeting you, Jane. Nice seeing you, Claudia. Thank you.
All right, get your tickets, people. You know what you need to do. See you soon. Ciao.
Ciao.
Woo.
Calling all around the world. Mumbo jumbo, stir up the gumbo. Calling all around the world. Get it. Start with a roux, that's me and you. Add the Holy Trinity. That's rhythm, chords, and melody. Come on now, add your spice. Tell your story, very nice. Calling all around the world. Stir that vocal gumbo now. Calling all. Stir it up.